fighting has resumed after a two-day lull. Sources told the AFP news agency that the M23 fighters attacked Congolese army positions in South Kivu province at dawn on Tuesday. Clashes took place near the village of Ihusi, about 70 kilometers from the provincial capital Bukavu and 40 kilometers from a strategic military airport. The capture of Bukavu would give full control of Lake Kivu to the M23 rebels. M23 has attempted in recent days to advance into the highlands, overlooking the main road to Bukavu to cut off army supply lines. But Burundian soldiers who are in eastern DRC to support the Congolese army stopped the M23, according to security sources. Meanwhile, the African Union is set to discuss the crisis in eastern DRC on Friday at an emergency session ahead of the main weekend summit. There have been growing calls for de-escalation amid fears the fighting could lead to a regional conflict. Let's now cross over to Chris Ochamringa in the DRC capital, Kinshasa. Chris, there are reports indicating that fighting has resumed in eastern DRC and now closer to Bukavu in South Kivu province. What more can you tell us about this?
That's right, Beatrice. According to Congolese officials, the fighting broke out on Tuesday in a village known as Ihusi, about 70 kilometers from Bukavu, which is the capital of South Kivu province. Many people fled the area, and we're told that it was M23 rebels against Congolese forces with the allied militia. And the people in Bukavu are very worried about this intensification in fighting. And some people have closed their shops, others have fled the area. So there is a lot of panic in that area. And I spoke to a journalist in Bukavu who said that the fighting has stopped in that region. But we've also heard reports of fighting, very fierce clashes in North Kivu province, an area known as Kanune, which is near Lubero territory. We've been told the M23 rebels have been advancing, and that's despite the regional leaders' call for an immediate and unconditional ceasefire. So what's clear on the ground is that this ceasefire is not holding, and both sides, the M23 and the government forces, are accusing each other of violating this latest ceasefire. Beatrice?
Well, Chris, the DRC government has ruled out any direct engagement with the rebels. What's the significance of this decision, and are we likely to see further escalation of fighting as a result?
Well, that position has long been held by the DRC government. They're saying that the M23 rebels were designated as a terrorist organization. They cannot negotiate with them because that will be, promoting impunity, which is a problem that has been plagued this country for decades. The government says they have tried it before, integrating rebel groups that have captured a lot of territories into the army and under what they call in French mixage, brassage, but that has not ended this cycle of violence in eastern DRC. That is why the government is not willing to have talks with them. But after the regional summit last Saturday in Tanzania, the DRC government released a statement saying they welcome the resolutions of the leaders from the East African community and the Southern African Development Community calling for an immediate ceasefire. They said they want an immediate resumption of the Luanda and the Nairobi process. These are two peace initiatives that are being brokered by the Luanda process by the Angolan president and the Nairobi process by the former Kenyan president Uhuru Kenyatta. So what the DRC government is saying is that they want they're prioritizing the Luanda process, which has two major issues. One is that the immediate withdrawal of Rwandan troops from Congolese territory, and the second issue for the DRC government to do is to hunt down and neutralize or disarm members of a Hutu militia known as the Democratic Forces for the Liberation of Rwanda, FDLR. As regards the M23 rebels, they want them to join other armed groups in talks under the Nairobi process. That is the position of the government. Now, this hardline position is likely to see a resumption in fighting because the M23 rebels have their demands and they want to hold direct talks with the government. So we are likely to see, an outbreak of violence if this situation continues the way it is, because the DRC president a couple of weeks ago said that they're planning a vigorous and coordinated response to reclaim all their territories. Burundian troops are also supporting the DRC. So there's a likelihood of an outbreak of a regional conflict if this kind of rhetoric continues by both sides.